So I'm gonna be completely honest here. Uh, I was like up really late. And I forgot to do the episodes, and
Oh,
actually, like just adjust this a little bit. Yeah, it's a bit better. Yeah. So it's like I just was watching the Digimon Savers episode at like 9 in the morning, and just like I don't know how much of it I processed, but I feel like I got it. So there is a fair possibility I'm just going to like miss some crap.
as long as we hit the important parts.
Yeah, let's keep it up there. Yeah, there is a like more than reasonable chance that I'm going to just forget names and just like miss stuff like crazy at some points.
I rarely remember the names of like one episode characters anyways. I think the
Yeah.
boxer's name was Hayase.
So here's how bad it was, right? Because I started the episode, and it's like, oh yeah, it starts with like Hayaso, like, do his boxing thing. He's like boxing the other guy, he like wins the match. He
Yeah.
looks over, and there's like, it's like beats the guy, and someone's like interviewing him afterwards, and you see the mic cable, go down. And like right next to him is like a little girl with like some line next to her. And I was just like, oh, is she like terminally ill? Does she have an IV stand?
Oh no.
That's how out of it I was. I had to like rewind and be like, wait a second. Okay, never mind. It's like
Yeah.
the mic.
Yeah, I would hope not, 'cause that's his daughter.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, wasn't she hooked up to an IV stand a second ago? Wait, what? I was like, oh, that's really funny. Wait a second. Wouldn't be like out of place for Digimon to do something weird like that, but yeah, glad I looked back.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like usually I leave the pre-ad stuff like out of the upload, but screw it, that's Sting and that's funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say we kind of jumped right into it, huh?
Yeah. I don't know, anything we really want to talk about before we get into the episode? Probably not. I don't think.
Uh, nothing like I want to spend too much time on, but the D&D Twitter has released another tweet about the ongoing situation with OGL.
Oh boy. Oh,
Yeah, like as of like 20 minutes ago or so.
oh, sup, Wincy, what's going on?
They're claiming that the $30 subscription thing is false, which
Okay.
part of me part of me doesn't believe because big corporation, but another part of me does believe because $30 to subscribe for anything for a month is insane.
Yeah, I think there's some leak that was like from a pretty reputable source that was like saying that, and that's where people got from. So it
Yeah.
seems like the idea may have been that they're planning to announce it at a really high price and walk it back like they're expecting the backlash. Wouldn't surprise me at all if like the fact that they got the backlash early meant they just walked it back earlier. Like that
Yeah.
seems like a very corporate thing to do. That's very believable, I think.
Yeah. Basically the tweet is $30 subscriptions are fake. Nobody's working on AI DMs. People I think this is there was a claim that like surveys get sent in but nobody reads them or cares. It's just so that people will vent on the surveys and then shut up about it everywhere else. And they're claiming that no, they have people checking those and the feedback has made the game better over the past decade.
I believe they're at least looking at the survey data, yeah.
I don't. And homebrewing is core to D&D Beyond. It's not going away and we're not going to charge you for it. Homebrew is and always will be yours. Always been excited to see your creations both on and off D&D Beyond. I don't believe a lot of that. Like, I feel like information got leaked, and they're like, "No, we never said that."
Yeah, like, it's weird because it's like so stuff is like, all right, AI DMs for like D&D stuff or whatever. That is like so insane to me that they would try to do that because it's just such an obviously bad idea. But at the same
It,
time, we've seen dumber stuff happen before. I can totally believe that someone would be that stupid.
have you ever heard of AI Dungeon?
Yes, I've used AI Dungeon. It works alright, but it's kind of a piece of crap. I,
It's
yeah.
it's spotty. It doesn't work perfectly all the time.
Oh god, let's kill this bot.
On it, boss.
But yeah, I remember I did a stream of AI Dungeon at some point in the past, and like the general takeaway was like, alright, it's kind of fun, but it's like not there yet to be used for like a serious story. And since then they've improved things, but it's also like, yes, think back to that stream where it just like first story of the night, it gets stuck in a loop and it just can't continue, and that just became the narrative, is that they're just stuck in a loop now.
Yeah,
so that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm thinking is like, I could see it happening, but it's not going to run anything particularly unique or interesting. They're going to feed it a bunch of their probably their like official modules or something, and it'll make a scenario based off of that or something. And so it won't go outside of that and like start saying a bunch of crazy crap based on like a bunch of people feeding it information.
Like, I imagine it being like, oh, hey, here's a series of options, and you just do that or something, but I can't imagine, like, much more complex than that. Like, I can, like, see AI DM in the form of, like, oh, hey, you, like, click an attack, and it just auto-rolls damage, and just automatically applies it to the thing you target. But that's, like, I feel like that'd be helpful, but that's about the limit, right?
Yeah, it essentially they'd just be making a text-based game.
Yeah.
Like it's like it gives you a description. It's like, what do you do? And then you type into the thing, I do this, and it has like, I mean, I guess in these situations they're like preset answers to what you would do, and then it plays out the scenario. But like, this would just be like AI, so it would try to build off of.
Yeah, makes sense.
Excuse me. I saw a video somebody posted that was like, okay, I used an AI not to run an entire game, but to like create ideas for one. Like,
that's like way better, yeah.
Yeah, like they typed in like generate a fantasy city with like these specific features, and then the AI would generate it. And
yeah,
if something was a little off, then you could just take what it gave you and like turn it like tweak it a bit to make it work.
Yeah, like, I feel like going to the future, like, stuff like that is gonna be, like, way better use for, like, AI overall, where it's like, you're not giving it the full reins, but it's like, hey, you know, do some of the busy work and just randomizing some stuff and just, you know, like, make something that kind of works, and, like, you know, a human can come in and, like, smooth out the edges. That seems way more doable to me, like, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I'm also imagining, like, a kind of AI thing where, like, they incorporate it into, like, Roll20 or something, where it basically turns fights into, like, a tactical RPG video game.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, it just, you press buttons and it's like, okay, click your target, click your spell, and then it'll do calculations, and it's like, just like if it's an AoE spell, it's like, okay, choose where you want to aim it, or who do you want to buff / debuff.
Like, it knows the like areas that it's like, all right, you're gonna cast Fireball. Click a square on the map, and then that's where we'll just put the thing.
Yeah, but like you would still need a regular DM for that because the player is gonna want to do crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, what if you fight a gelatinous cube and some idiot comes up with the bright idea of throwing soap at it, and it works?
Yeah, exactly. You can't like an AI can't reasonably be like, okay, I know what that would do. It's like it
Yeah.
would probably be like you throw the soap at the thing and it does nothing.
Yeah, because acids and bases.
Yeah, it's like you need you need a person there to be like, okay, I see what they're going for. That's a fun idea, and then they run with it. You can't
Yeah.
get that with like a computer.
Well, if, like, the computer sees someone with a ring of telekinesis and they're like, I fly on the ladder, what if it just doesn't understand that?
Well, I'm mostly for like right now. I'm mostly talking about like a combat situation,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that too, yeah.
yeah, it can't account for the stupid stuff the players are gonna try to do.
Well, if I push the boss into the lava, how much damage does lava do, AI?
Yeah, which I mean that might be a reasonable because it would have to account for the abilities of like push or grapple or disengage
Yeah.
and like all of that.
Like, environmental hazards, like, stuff that you wouldn't account for normally, like, weird situations.
Yeah, and like and that's another way the AI would have to work with the DM like programming it basically. It's like you build a map and then like on the squares. It's like okay, there's some spikes here. That's a damage like floor area, and so you mark it as such. And it's like okay, if somebody lands on this square for whatever reason, they take damage.
Yeah, makes sense.
Or like player lands on this square, roll 2d4 or something.
Roll dex to see if you take spike damage.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's
but
reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, you could attach saves and stuff to it.
Yeah.
You know what? I bet that's a thing. I've heard of other virtual tabletops, and I bet some, at least one of them has that kind of integration.
Yeah,
What's that one?
Yeah, all I was just for something to be like, oh hey, you can target a thing on the map, hit your damage, and it, like, does damage to the thing immediately.
Yeah. I think the D&D thing that the animated spellbook channel does. I think the one he's always advertising might have that kind of integration.
Man, that's a good channel. Just shout to Animated Spellbook.
Yeah, it's a Z Bashu or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's at least, I don't know if it handles that kind of stuff, but it does like the maps that you build are 3D and like you have little figures on it and everything. And we're not sponsored by them or anything, but Tailspire is what it's called.
Not unless you want to sponsor us, Tailspire. Think about it.
Yeah.
We have like 5 views an episode. That's 4 other people that you're not like having your project be heard to yet.
Yeah, we like D&D. We'll shill this if it's good.
Yeah, if it's not related to the actual Wizard of the Coast Corporation, because, like, holy crap.
True.
Oh, man. But yeah, should we move on to the actual episode now?
Yeah, probably a good idea. I just wanted to...
Yeah, I didn't know we'd go off on, like, such a thing about it, but yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah, anybody who follows us knows that we play D&D on Sundays and Tuesdays and whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. There's honestly not much that happens in this episode anyways, so it's not gonna, like, you know, be much of a loss, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode of Digimon Data Squad, freaking Galmon boxes out a cactus. Nothing else really matters. This actually was a good episode. I should actually take this seriously.
It is actually a pretty good one. I thought it was decent. The twist actually got me because it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's like... So here's the thing, with this episode and the next episode, like, specifically, these feel a lot like Ghost Game episodes, but they feel like what Ghost Game could have been instead of what it is, right? They feel like Ghost Game done right. Where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, here's like, here's like a situation, we have our like theme of the episode or whatever, our like, set piece or what have you. And it's like, oh, there's something weird going on. Let's like actually get out there and investigate, do some legwork, try and figure this out. And then they go out, they figure out how the thing works, and it's like, okay, yeah, the like mystery is this thing, and here's the clever thing we're gonna do to beat it. Or like whatever. That's
Yeah.
not really clever thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that this show shows that it could do better than Ghost Game. Is like Masaru runs into Dad's headquarters, or no, he doesn't run. He's already there.
Yeah.
But he has like a newspaper. He has like a newspaper, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. This thing. Isn't it weird that this boxer, everyone he fights, has something wrong with them?" And like everyone else is like, "Oh, that's stupid, Masaru. Whatever. Who cares?" And then the captain comes in, and he's like, "Actually, I've been looking into that. He might be right. Look at this Togemon needle."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, they pick up on subtle, weird things that could be suspicious instead of like, oh, a ton of people are disappearing? I'm sure that's nothing. And then they won't do anything about it until it affects one of the main characters.
Yeah, this is like, I know it's like he's older and stuff, so it's like, there's a weird comparison here, but it's like, it's so weird to think that in this situation, Masaru is like smarter and more aware than Hiro is like 90% of the time.
Yeah. Or even Kyo. Kyo's like a literal genius.
Yeah. Like, if this was Ghost Game, they'd be like, you'd see the boxer and you'd see people, like, dying horribly in the background or whatever before each match. And, everyone would just be like, oh, wow, this is another nice day. Let's talk about elf monsters or whatever. It's like, they just sort of, just go around until, like, one of them just happened to bump into a guy who's getting, like, attacked by Togemon, and they'd be like, oh, Digimon, let's do a thing. Let's try and stop this.
Well, no, they wouldn't even be like, oh, a Digimon. They'd be like, oh, a hologram ghost. And it's like, we're still calling him that, huh?
We're still calling him that.
Despite the fact that it's a Digimon, or you should know that it's a Digimon.
I like that Ghost Game has no central game to the conflict, nor are there hologram ghosts that are actually spirits. There are neither ghosts nor games.
I could believe that the game thing would be like a reveal at the end. Where it's like, I don't know, Hiro's dad made like a wager with some evil Digimon. And he's like, oh yeah, my son and his friends will fix all the problems you're sending his way, or whatever.
If that's the case, that would be like a good reveal. I'd take back like some of my criticism of Ghost Game if that's the actual plot.
Yeah, we're a bunch of random crap, and like every time a Digimon shows up, it starts getting into trouble, and it's like, oh, it's because it's meant to be happening.
Yeah, it's because this is meant to test like Hiro and his friends and just see what they're capable of dealing with. And so our guy's like, all right, sure, I'll just send Digimon out there. Why not?
Yeah. But we're not on Ghost Game yet. It's just I feel like
the comparison is very direct.
Yeah, it's just something I immediately thought of when Masaru brings up the newspaper thing, and it's like, look at these weird string of incidents involving this boxer, and he thinks it's weird, and it turns out he's right.
Yeah, it is super weird. Like, that's the thing, Masaru brings up a lot of really good points. He's like, yeah, all his opponents have been, like, getting ill and dropping out, and he's like, he's able to get to the championship, even though he's like, like going on 40 and like past his prime. He's like, yeah, this is fishy, isn't it?
Yeah. And Toma's like, how dare you? I love that guy.
Yeah. First I was like, oh, was this like Toma's personal like trainer or something? Because he is like a practice boxer. So is this meant to be like, hey, this is the guy who taught Toma how to fight? And the answer is no, he was just a fan. But like, he idolized him a lot as a kid, and this is where a lot of his ideals come from. So there's still that connection. It's just not as much of a thing, right?
And to Toma's credit, turns out he's right. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like the boxer, Hayase, whatever I think that's his name, had nothing to do with it. He didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, and they have some good misdirects on this. Because at first you're like, okay, well, obviously it's the boxer, right? Of course, he's the one who has, like, stuff to gain from this. And, you learn about his ideology, you learn he's kind of resentful about this whole thing, There's an incident he talks about where it's like, he fought a dirty boxer.
He almost killed him in the ring. The dirty boxer almost killed Hayase.
Yeah, just straight up. Like, he's using, like, dirty tactics and, like, foul plays. And, like, actually, like, permanently injured him. Yeah, it's a bit better.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm just cutting out of his head. This is weird. But yeah, it's like, he's just using dirty tactics. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll fight dirty too, or you're gonna lose. And he's like, no, I have to fight him fair and square. And it's like a big pivotal moment. But it like screwed him up afterwards. So it's like, okay, I'm thinking like, maybe this is for revenge. Maybe he just wants to get in the ring. And, once he, like, gets close to this guy, he'll, like, bring out the Digimon and be like, it's time for me to kill you. You ruined my career. Yeah.
But that's not the case. Masaru goes to the gym and, like, his coach is kind of like, he's kind of loud and, I wouldn't say rude, actually, because Masaru's like, who are you? And he's like, it's only polite to introduce yourself first before asking a name or whatever. And it's like, so I guess not rude. He's just very
brash. Yeah,
brash. That's it. That's a good word.
Yeah.
But he seems like a good guy, honestly. But he looks like he might be the culprit. Because
he's kind of like sketchy and he's like sneaking around at dark and stuff, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Is this so he can like prop up like his like student as the champ and like gain the success and fame for himself? Like, is that what the deal is? And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But you see, it's like, oh well, no, not really. Because, he's just sneaking around to get booze. It's like, there's nothing there. He's not the guy. But the one who is the guy is, like, the daughter. Who, like, at first I didn't even catch she was his daughter. I was just like, oh, that's cool. He, like, won the thing, and he just picked up, like, this child fan of his. But it's like, looking back, she was like, in the audience with like the mother, and she's like at the house and stuff, and it's really obvious, actually.
Yeah.
It's really obvious looking back at it.
Yeah. There's a nice scene where Toma's like, okay, I have to figure out what's going on with this. I have to box him in like a sparring match to see how he fights. And then he does, and it's like, I guess he gets from the little exchange that he happens, like, okay, I'm going to throw a real punch at this guy and see how he reacts. And he just kind of ducks and tries to return it normally, and I guess he's just like, okay, that's all he needed to know.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it turns out he didn't know any of that. He's remained a fair and, like, honorable boxer the whole time. It's just that his daughter who admired him was like, I want to see my dad like keep winning because she's a good kid.
she's literally a kid, so she's like, hey, I don't want to see my dad get hurt in the ring. I'm going to,
Yeah.
like, team up with this Digimon to, like, stop the people who are going to hit him. Which is, yeah, like, just really, like, just understandable child logic.
Yeah. And I like that the weird afflictions are being caused by Togemon like hitting specific points in the body, like acupuncture or something.
Yeah, like, I
Like
think
fakey fake magical acupuncture.
Yeah, like, I think this could have been stronger. I think, like, just to, like, like, earnest and critical for a moment, I think there could have been, like, a bit more of, like, a hint that, like, the kid was behind it, or, like, that the culprit was, like, Togemon, because it, like, you see the Neil and you're just kind of, like, get, but it's like, alright, doesn't make complete sense that Togemon could cause illnesses like that. But it's
Yeah.
like the emotions and the story points are like there, right? Like everything's on point enough that it doesn't really matter, I think. That it's like, the actual mystery could be a bit stronger.
Yeah. Togemon being the culprit was never the point because the fact that it's Togemon
Yeah.
is in the title.
Oh yeah, the thing I'm more on about is that it's like, the kid was the one doing it and not the boxer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been like a stronger element. Like maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to think like what clues you could even include, but like it feels like, if she like spoke and said something about like, oh, I'm glad they can't hurt daddy anymore or something, then that would be a good clue. Like, cause
I
we get a bit
think
where, yeah.
I think it's fine the way it is. There's no overt clue that it's her, but I think that's fine because like
Yeah.
the episode doesn't introduce any characters outside of who's important. It's like, okay, we've
Yeah.
got the boxer himself, his coach, his wife, and his daughter. And it's like those are the main characters, the main side characters, I guess. And it's like, okay, it has to be one of these people. And then I guess if you process of elimination it, and it's like, okay, well, it's probably not this guy. It's probably not the wife. Like, it might not be the boxer himself. He seems like a cool guy. Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe it's the daughter. It's out of left field, but I mean, hey.
Yeah, I just think it's like, if they gave us like one clue, this would be a better mystery, right?
Mm.
Because it's like process of elimination, but it's like, yeah, if she has said something along the lines of like, like, I'm trying to think how I'd like you and do this, she's like, oh, are more people gonna hurt daddy? And Yoshino's like, oh, he's fine, he's strong, don't worry about it. That would be like the perfect amount of like, just sort of subtlety to be like, oh yeah, this is like in your mind, so it makes sense when it comes back, but it's not like so overt that it's like, obvious, right? Or at least like not so overt that'd be obvious to like a literal child, I guess, because that's who this is like aimed at. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
don't know.
that I think they could have done something like that. I think that would have like improved the episode just a bit. But yeah, I'm getting really nitpicky. I honestly did like this one a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode.
Just that scene where he's talking about the injury and he's like, oh, I'll like never forgive them, they broke me down and like ruined my life or some crap. And it's like, I forget exactly what he says, but it's like, that was such a good little scene. And it's like, oh right, this is Digimon. Oh man.
Yeah, I only have one more complaint with this episode. Not that I've had a lot, but
Okay.
it's so in the climax of the episode is Galmon gets in the ring and challenges Togemon to a boxing match.
Yes.
It should have ended with like a longer boxing match scene. Like
I'm
like
fine with this.
Galmon,
Yeah.
Galmon and Togemon like box in the ring a little bit, and then Togemon gets knocked out and then grows to a giant, and then Galmon digivolves, and then they just devolve into shooting stuff at each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
normally that's fine. That's the Digimon formula, right? But like
No, I
Toga,
completely... I feel like I completely get what you meant. You would have wanted more, like, physical attacks from Galgamon.
not even Galgamon, just Galmon. Like Galmon versus Togemon in the ring, and like he boxes him to beat him. Like, I don't know. It feels weird that it devolves into Togemon grows into a kaiju and then they shoot stuff at each other.
Yeah,
In
it
this
is cow.
episode
Yeah.
that is entirely centered around boxing.
Honestly, I think it's, like, hailed pretty well. Because, of course, like, Togemon's a champion, so it's like, alright. Galgamon's not good. Sorry, not Galgamon. Galmon, the rookie form, isn't really gonna, like, take that out easily, you know? He's, like, he lacks a lot of, like, the power to, like, you know, just down a champion in one on his own, right? So it's like, okay,
Galmon,
yeah.
Galmon uppercuts Togemon out of the boxing ring.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, he has the speed and the skill, but he can't, like, take him out for good. So it's like, okay, yeah, champions are still, like, stronger, but, like, he out-techniques him. He, like, you know, out-boxes him, basically. And you know what? I like that. I think that's, like, that's a perfect way to do it, where it's like, alright, we're not just, like, breaking the power system by having him just, like, beat a champion on his own, like, fist to fist, but it's also like, you know, he gets to, like, show him up and have a little moment. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like I said, the boxing bit is fine. I like it, and that's why I wish it was all boxing.
Yeah. I feel like, honestly, even if he is eventually warmed down, I'd be pretty fine with it, because champions aren't that, like, far off from rookies, generally. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
not
yeah,
that
I'm
huge of a
fine with
leap.
this is, yeah. It's not that huge of a leap, but I respect it. That they're like, okay, yeah, now's just the time to get serious. Yeah, have our, like, evolution of the episode.
I would say, okay, Galgamon, box him, but Galgamon is a
Yes.
quadrupedal Digimon.
I think, like, alright, hear me out, right? Well, if Galgamon gets on his hind legs and starts throwing punches,
It would look really bad.
it would look really goofy, but what if, though?
This episode would not be as good then, I think. Just because of how bad that would look.
Oh man, he is does the little, like, yo, like, just starts doing, like, yo, the, like, yeah, get him. just pause up, just like, yeah, swipe.
Just doing like the boxing, the quick jabs.
Not even like technique, it's just like, yo, just like flailing with the things.
Right.
It's, no, God, perfect, like, comparison. It's like the end of The Lion King, where, like, Simba's just having the fight with Mufasa, and they're just up on their hind legs, just pawing at each other. Just gives them the right swipe to the face.
Simba and Scar, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's Simba and Scar, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking when you mentioned that, actually, yeah.
Oh, man. Honestly, that'd be really goofy, but I'd kind of want to see it. That'd be pretty fun, though.
Yeah, overall a good episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. So yeah, should we move on then?
Yeah.